Hollywood may sell itself as a dream factory, but peel back the glitter and you'll find it also mass-produces nightmares. Beneath the red carpets and flashing cameras lies a series of tragedies so shocking, so strangely interconnected, that people still whisper about curses. Some of these stories are built on eerie coincidences, others on genuine negligence, but all of them have shaped the way audiences look at the movies. Tonight, we'll walk through 10 of the most infamous cases where Hollywood magic bled into real-life horror, leaving legends of curses that refuse to die. The so-called Superman curse has haunted the industry for decades. George Reeves, the first Superman to hit television screens in the 1950s, was found dead in 1959 from a gunshot wound. Officially, it was ruled a suicide. Unofficially, friends and fans never accepted that. There were whispers of foul play, mob connections, and jealous lovers. That set the stage for a narrative that Superman himself carried a curse. Then came Christopher Reeve, who brought Superman to life in the blockbuster films of the late 70s and 80s. In 1995, Reeve was thrown from a horse during an equestrian competition and paralyzed from the neck down. The tragedy turned him into a powerful advocate for spinal cord research, but it also cemented the idea that playing Superman meant inviting disaster. Even actors like Margot Kidder, who starred alongside Reeve, suffered mental health struggles that tabloid press connected to the same curse. It's one of Hollywood's longest-lasting urban legends, fueled by each new misfortune tied to the Man of Steel. Then there's Brandon Lee, whose story became one of the industry's darkest tragedies. In 1993, while filming The Crow, Lee was fatally shot after a prop gun fired a fragment lodged in the barrel. His death at just 28 shocked the world, but the eerie shadows stretched further back. His father, Bruce Lee, died suddenly at age 32 under circumstances that remain debated to this day. Together, the father-son deaths became part of a narrative about a family curse. Brandon's unfinished performance in The Crow was completed through body doubles and digital trickery, and the film went on to be released to critical acclaim. But audiences couldn't shake the sense that they were watching something more than fiction. The movie's story of vengeance from beyond the grave suddenly felt like prophecy. No discussion of cursed films is complete without The Exorcist. Even before cameras rolled, the production was plagued. A mysterious fire burned the set to the ground, sparing only the bedroom where the infamous possession scenes would take place. Crew members were injured in bizarre accidents. Ellen Burstyn, who played the mother, suffered a permanent spinal injury from a stunt gone wrong. The film's young star, Linda Blair, endured not only real injuries, but also years of harassment from people who believed she had been marked by evil. 2 actors died before the film was released, and stories circulated about priests being called in to bless the set. The movie terrified audiences, but the tales of what happened behind the scenes were often scarier than the movie itself. To this day, The Exorcist is spoken of not just as a horror classic, but as a production touched by something dark. Equally infamous is Poltergeist. The first film released in 1982 became a cultural phenomenon, but its legacy was tainted by tragedy. Dominique Dunne, who played the teenage daughter, was strangled to death by her boyfriend shortly after the film's release. Heather O'Rourke, the child actress who became the face of the franchise, died suddenly at age 12 after being misdiagnosed and suffering cardiac arrest. 2 other cast members, Julian Beck and Will Sampson, died during the years of the sequels. Rumors spread that real human skeletons had been used as props during a memorable pool scene, giving rise to the legend that the production had disturbed something that should have been left alone. Whether coincidence or curse, the string of deaths was enough to permanently brand Poltergeist as haunted. The Omen followed just a few years later, and its reputation was no less sinister. Released in 1976, the film's entire production seemed surrounded by bad luck. A plane scheduled to carry key crew members crashed and killed everyone aboard. The lead actor, Gregory Peck, had his flight struck by lightning. Producer Harvey Bernhard was nearly struck by lightning as well. Even animal handlers on set were injured or killed while working with the dogs and baboons used for the movie's chilling scenes. The most terrifying story involves a car crash that decapitated a crew member near a road sign that read 66.6 kilometers. With a film centered on the Antichrist, these bizarre coincidences pushed audiences and even skeptics to wonder if something unholy was at work. Not all curses are linked to horror films. Rebel Without a Cause was meant to symbolize the youthful rebellion of the 1950s, but its cast became the center of a tragedy-soaked legend. James Dean, the film's star, died in a car crash before the film even premiered. Natalie Wood, his co-star, drowned mysteriously decades later, her case still clouded with unanswered questions and suspicions. Sal Mineo, another member of the cast, was murdered outside his apartment in Los Angeles. 3 young stars, all cut down before their time, left fans convinced the movie was cursed. What was meant to represent youthful energy ended up being remembered as a harbinger of tragedy. In 1982, Twilight Zone the movie became the site of one of Hollywood's most infamous disasters. During the filming of a Vietnam War sequence, actor Vic Morrow and 2 child actors were killed in a helicopter accident caused by a pyrotechnic explosion. The tragedy was captured on film, and the resulting lawsuits and investigations shook the industry to its core. The director, John Landis, faced years of legal battles, and Hollywood's approach to on-set safety was forever changed. To this day, the movie is remembered less for its stories and more for the horror of what happened behind the camera. Some films never even make it to the screen, but still develop reputations for being cursed. Atuk, a comedy script about an Inuit man in New York, has long been considered unfilmable. John Belushi was attached to star, but died before it could happen. Sam Kinison took the role, then died in a car crash. John Candy considered it, then passed away unexpectedly. Chris Farley expressed interest before his own tragic death. The script still floats around Hollywood, but no one dares to touch it. A film that never existed has become infamous for killing its stars before a single frame could be shot. Then there's The Conqueror, a 1956 epic starring John Wayne that was shot downwind from U.S. nuclear test sites in Utah. At first, it seemed like a standard sword and sandals picture, but years later, the tragedy emerged. Nearly half of the cast and crew developed cancer, including Wayne himself, Susan Hayward, and director Dick Powell. Out of a crew of around 220 people, more than 90 later died of cancer. While the government denied any connection, the sheer numbers are staggering. The desert that once served as a backdrop for the film had been poisoned, and the movie carried that poison into history. Even family classics weren't immune. The Wizard of Oz is beloved today, but making it was a nightmare for many involved. Buddy Ebsen, the original Tin Man, almost died from the aluminum powder in his makeup and had to be replaced. Margaret Hamilton, the Wicked Witch, suffered third-degree burns when a pyrotechnic stunt misfired. The actors playing flying monkeys were repeatedly injured when their wires snapped, sending them crashing to the stage. What audiences saw was magical. What the cast experienced was a gauntlet of pain and accidents that gave the film an entirely different reputation behind the scenes. Looking across these stories, the pattern is unmistakable. Again and again, films meant to entertain ended up producing suffering, injury, and death. Some chalk it up to poor safety standards, others to sheer bad luck. But the legends persist because they tap into something deeper. Our suspicion that when we create stories about death, demons, and destruction, maybe we call some of that energy into the real world. Hollywood likes to say the show must go on. But these tragedies remind us that sometimes the price of entertainment is far higher than anyone expected. Comment, like, and subscribe for more Hollywood curses.